appreciate, or thank you for the opportunity to represent you in Boise. It's deeply appreciated, and hopefully we were able to accomplish several things. I was placed on the Education Committee because of my background from the State Board, as well as the Moscow School Board and the State Charter School Commission. And really, my session immediately started right after election, when I met with the Greg Bailey, the superintendent, I met with the police chief, I met with the sheriff, and found out what can we do to improve school safety. So the first bill that I was able to run was the school violence bill, which was in direct relation to what had happened here in Moscow when an individual made a gun threat to the school district. The officers now have the opportunity or the option, the flexibility to arrest that individual and get that individual off the street. And that was one of the major concerns that many of you probably experienced once that happened here a couple of years ago. So that is now law. The second one that I ran was the executive session. Historically, many of the small rural districts have 5 trustees, but they have a very difficult challenge filling 2 trustees positions. And when they do so, they can conduct business, but they can't get into executive session because you need 2/3. So I was able to run a bill that now allows those small districts to execute not only their normal business, but to get into executive session and discuss issues that are pressing them to. The governor asked me and one other freshman to run the starting salary, and I think that was the top of my effort. We now have new teachers earning, within 2 years, they'll be earning $40,000, and that was very important that we do that. Following up on that, I've already started the next stage, and that's retention. We're looking at not only the first rung, which is the residency rung, then the professional rung. Now we're going to look at the master's rung. So we'll kick those salaries up into the 60,000. And my theme at that was east to the west, but west to the east is best. And what I'm saying there is when Moscow loses quality teachers to Pullman, and not only happens here in Moscow, it happens along all the border states here, as well as down in the Wyoming area, southeast Idaho. So when those teachers leave, then the ones come from Plummer or from Potlatch, so the movement is to the west. And with these new bills, it will start reversing that. So we start pushing the teachers where they are, where they want to be, and yet be paid a reasonable salary. After that, I was on the K-12 funding bill. That was one that we passed, and that took a heck of a lot of effort, meeting with individual representatives of both representatives and senators to get that one passed. Basically, after 3 years of hard work, the committee came to a point where they said, we're now going to fund education districts or school districts based on students, not on the process that had been used before. But what they failed to do is come up with some basic definitions and basic data on which to make those decisions. So we basically stopped the process, rewrote a bill. I carried that bill through, and it was passed by both the House and the Senate. And now we're going to be into negotiated rulemaking, coming up with what do we mean when we talk about an English learner, English language learner. What do we talk about a disadvantaged student? What do we talk about when we talk about small districts and remote districts? So how do we fund those things? So those are things that I feel pretty comfortable about. Also, I did a lot of work with expanding traditional education into career technical education. You know, we had this major emphasis on you've got to go to college, and we funded for that. And now we're going to have a major effort for career technical education and opening scholarships so those individuals that coming out of schools can choose a career that they want to go into and not be set aside. Also, we took a look at the other end of the spectrum of quality students, and we gave flexibility and early graduation opportunity. So a student that is working well ahead of his peers or her peers can start to challenge courses, take college courses, and even to the point of graduating early and moving on. That can also not only be college level courses, but also CT courses. So that was flexibility. We also said, you know, Idaho is losing teachers at a phenomenal rate. We're not even keeping up with our traditional pipelines. We're losing about 1,000 teachers a year. So we looked at what other ways do we have to bring teachers into the fold, and we established several new non-traditional pipelines so that school districts that are in rural areas that have a hard time recruiting teachers now have some opportunities to have those teachers, and with a new funding model, they'll be able to bring those teachers in at those rural areas. Moving over to the military, I sponsored an occupational licensing bill, which now says that if a military individual veteran and or his spouse comes in Idaho and they have credentials from other states, that these agencies have 6 months to bring them up to speed or give them a temporary certificate, and they have 6 months to come up to speed to whatever Idaho requires. So that was it. Also was able to sponsor a bill for additional dollars for destitute veterans. We have many veterans down in the South that are on the streets and they have no money. And so even though the VA is supposedly taking care of it, it's not happening. And so now the Department of Veteran Services now have funds to work with those individuals. Also supported Carolyn's efforts in funding for WWAMI. We expanded that program. We expanded residencies. These are the doctors that finish up basic education, now have a place to go to get that advanced education, and it's funded by the state. And of course, U of I, and that's really where it is. I'm already working on next session. I've met with both the chief and Carolyn. I met with both mayors of Plummer and St. Mary's. We met with Congressman Fulcher, so beginning to get ideas, and I'm already beginning to work on next session and trying to get any additional funds for teachers and for education. So education-wise, things worked out very well, and I'm very happy for that we now have some money coming to those individuals that work so hard to take us down this street, because they are our most valuable asset as our students. So with that, the other two committees I serve on is Ag Affairs, Agricultural Affairs, and then Judicial Rules and Administration. So I conclude. Stand for questions, I guess.